My review is this book is great and you should get it if you want to be smarter and have a better foundation for your understanding of American English and like Western life. But okay, I'm back. Ow. Interesting. Something kind of pinched me in the bum. Sorry, gotta answer my Nurex people. I'm doing in my teeth and it's like really annoying. Anyway, hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel and let's talk about books. Okay, so books are honestly shit. That's not what I meant. Let's talk about books. Okay, listen, if you know me, you know I'm a writer and you know I love to read. I think books are honestly the most cost-effective, time-efficient way to level up your life. Now, you could spend a lot of time learning by going to school. You could spend a lot of time learning by like being around people who are smarter than you, who know what you want to learn. Like the greatest minds of our generation wrote for a reason. Speaking of the greatest minds of our generation, a friend of mine wrote a book called Etc. and it is a collection of Latin phrases, their translations, and kind of how you can relate it to today's world. Unfortunately, Etc. is the one book I don't have a physical copy of. I'm gonna put the link to the pre-order in my description. Because basically you can only get a digital copy now and you can only get a physical copy in August when the book launches. Now let's go through some phrases and why I really liked them. Mia starts off the book with a quote from Toni Morrison that reads, "We die, that may be the meaning of life, but we do language, that may be the measure of our lives." Something I thought that was really poetic is the phrase "carmet et error," which translates to a poem and a mistake. And it's attributed to Ovid, I believe that's, okay guys, I'm just gonna be mispronouncing things throughout this video and you're just gonna have to deal. Acta est fabula palladate. Acta est fabula palladate. Clap, the story is over. According to Roman biographer, Augustus's last words were "clap, the story is over." And now it's a phrase used at the end of plays to signal that the show has finished. So what grand performance had just been concluded? I really like that idea of life as a grand performance, and I feel like that phrase is just one that really reminds me to always live as though, not to perform necessarily for other people, but just that this performance can't go on forever. And if it's a story, we got to make it a good one. It is omnius ad axeus heliconos sementa trita est. And that means all paths to Helicon have already been walked. Factium unt mea memoris. I will force you to remember me. Omnia visit amor, which is love conquers all. It's from Virgil. And the idea, I think she really goes into depth with it. It's not necessarily like, oh, love can defeat anything, love is the strongest thing. It's more of the idea that we as people must submit to love because we cannot defeat it. Love will conquer us, so therefore we should yield to it. And I love the idea because it's not necessarily presenting love as some beautiful thing, but as something that's very powerful that can force you to behave in ways that perhaps your logical reasoning self would never do. I will point out that technically no one knows for sure how to pronounce Latin words, so if I'm butchering these words, maybe I'm not. I probably am. Anyway, Dies amnia dimni mie, which is may you protect half of my soul. It's attributed to Horace, and it's the idea that when you love someone, usually in this context I believe a romantic love, but when you feel something more than a friendship, a deep soul connection, that person has half of your soul. So therefore, when you are going through life and you're just doing your day-to-day things, but also you're taking risks, be mindful not only of yourself, but of the other people who are in your life, because it's like you are half of their soul. You are partially what makes their lives worth living, just you being yourself. And to me, that is like, I can almost feel myself tearing up. That is like one of the most beautiful phrases I can think of, because it's not just saying I love you, it's saying you are half of me, so you must protect that, because I love myself, and since I love you and I feel you're part of me, you have to protect you too. And I think it's one of those things that kind of goes back to the powerful dichotomy between dying for someone versus living for someone. Yes, I mean, it's very noble to say a lot of us will die for someone, but to be able to endure and to push through and to actually live for someone, I think is very powerful and very beautiful. And I thank Horace for coming up with that phrase. Dulce et decorum est por partia mori. It is sweet and honorable to die for your country. And this is from Horace. Now, many a scholar and poet alike has debunked this statement. And it's very interesting to say that the poet who wrote it, Horace, likely didn't even believe it himself. You see, as a lot of us know, the Roman poets had patrons, and basically those people were supporting their lives and making sure they could eat and sleep and breathe and live. The government became enmeshed in a civil war. So basically, Horace needs to drum up some propaganda to encourage the young men to die for glory, die for honor, because it is sweet and right to die for your country. Dulce et decorum est. It's a lie. Duficieto Elisio viet et metium et memoriam. I curse your life and mind and memory, which is basically giving me sunshine of the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind vibe. The same way Latin is a good basis for if you'd like to study law or politics, I think this book is a great basis for if you'd like to be an intelligent human being. How much the foundation of our lives is really shaped by these phrases and these like Roman texts and such. It's great for anyone that wants to learn more about Roman culture, anyone who is interested in history, and anyone who wants to have a very solid foundation of knowledge or wants to sound smarter at dinner parties. Get this book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or at the link in the description, and it is coming out later this summer. It is honestly an easy read. Mia does a great job of explaining the phrases, why they're significant and why she chose them, and also their relevance. She chooses a lot of phrases that are very relevant to our everyday, lives. Tell in this book the detail and the effort that was taken with the illustrations and the art. I mean, if you're someone that's more of a visual learner, and or if you're someone who just appreciates a good drawing and a good piece of artistry, you're gonna love this book. It's great for just eye-catching designs and their use of red and gray. I mean, because honestly, this book doesn't have very many colors, but the way they place their colors is, I mean, I'm sure there's like a word for that. It's just very, very visually appealing. Book being great for someone who wants to study Rome, or someone who is studying law and wants to, like, say, make a book of flashcards or something. For that reason, there is no plot I can really grade it on, but for its usability and its potential benefits that it could have on someone's life, I would say this book is a 5 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. If you have time and the funds to spend, go pick it up. You won't be disappointed. Bye. Mina herself says about this project, for the ancient Romans developed slowly. The stories never affected me as a child, and Roman mythology did not capture my interest. In high school, I was forced to enroll in Latin. She goes on to speak about how, as a Black and Chinese woman, a second-generation American, I explore the ancient world through these lenses. On paper, I am not your typical classicist, and yet I have found a home in Roman stories. I carry the weight of Roman lives wherever I go. I take them with me from conversation to conversation in each turn of phrase. Ancient women weave stories with threads in their homes while I hem my too long pans. The rhetoricians whittle their perfectly crafted words while I parse a politician's speech. I feel the connection so profoundly that I can't think that Virgil wrote the Aeneid for me, that I am his patron thousands of years later. And subscribe to my YouTube channel.